this particular stop on our trip, because what we knew here in Detroit is that you all might not be the best image, but you all are like laboratories, petri dishes, opportunities for creating new and innovative responses that lift up the community, that are the alternatives that we need. And so we on our little bus have been traveling around to learn the new things that are emerging, because one of the painful parts of are not how much profit you get or how little taxes we have a little speaking program, and then the sisters will fan out, and we'll have bus signing, which is the best part of the bus. And
yes, I was born and raised in Detroit, and I can't tell you how proud I am. Along with Mary Ellen Gondik. Where are you, Mary Ellen? Here, who's worked 25 years in Detroit. That's right. I have driven down Lodge more times than I can remember in the last year, and I try not to get in an accident, but I try and see where the tiny houses are. So this was a high point for many of us, and myself included. What I heard this morning was very interesting, and I believe that Reverend Fowler and her colleagues have really creative imagination. She says housing is only a tool. It is a tool for people to understand that they have worth, that they can have a dignified, and as one of the persons who lives in the tiny house says, I have privacy. That it is theirs. And even how they have done the rent, then own, to allow people to have social and economic mobility. So after 7 years, these houses are theirs. I think this could be a model for all interview new residents. They are forming community right from the beginning. So I have to say that we have toured from Los Angeles. I got on the bus in Omaha, and we'll get off the bus tomorrow in Cleveland and come back to Detroit. We have visited programs such as Cass Community Social Services that do wraparound services. No longer can we afford in this country, if we want dignity for all the people in this country, to have silos and unconnected services. We have to have integrated partnerships and to supply the services for the whole person. So, that's it.
When you cross cultures and things slip into who we are. Now it's my huge honor to introduce our hostess for this amazing program that we heard about. Reverend Faith Fowler, I invite you to share with us a bit of the vision that makes this possible.
What an honor to have this group of leaders in our midst and here at our campus, and thank you all for coming. I think you know that tiny homes are popular with young people, with environmental people. On TV, everybody says to me now, I've seen it on HGTV, meaning they know more about tiny houses than I do. They usually follow that up, why aren't you building them on wheels? Why aren't you making them mobile? And I always say, well, how far do you think those folks are going to pull them on their bicycle? Right? Doesn't make much sense. So we tried to put together a program that did make sense for people who have an income, but not much. So $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a year. They're getting it maybe from a part-time job or a minimum wage job or SSI disability. Wherever they're getting it, they have enough to get by, but they don't have enough to get ahead. And so this program really uses, as they said, the tiny homes as a tool for them to gain wealth or an asset so that they can survive any crisis that comes along. At the same time, it's helping to repopulate a neighborhood that was basically deserted, at least these few blocks, and bringing back attractive, detached homes that set the standard, I think, for being sustainable or being good for the planet. You know, our houses are getting huge and our families are getting small, so the rest of the world looks at us like you knuckleheads, right? Because if you go to Europe or you go to New York or you go someplace else, they live in much smaller spaces, which is good not only for the polar bears, but good for poor people. And there's far too many poor people who don't see a ladder out. This home or these homes is such a ladder. They've got a climate. We hope to provide it. So thank you for coming and thank you for your great work.
Thank you. And then we say, oh no, thank you. And oh no, thank you. Oh no, thank you. And what I finally realized on the bus is that reality is a sign of community. It's where we see each other as a gift. And that is certainly the experience this morning. So I would also invite Stephanie from this amazing Cass Community Center to share with us a bit of her perspective. Stephanie, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. I am so pleased to see all of you. My name is Stephanie Donaldson, and as Reverend Fowler calls me, I'm an ambassador for Tiny Homes. I'm here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and if I could be, I would be here 7 days a week. I am so pleased to tell you that every day we see hundreds and hundreds of visitors from all around the world. And they all come and they want to know, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I am so pleased to tell them what this project is. And they say, well, are you going to build them on the other side of Detroit? Are you coming to Cleveland? Are you going to come to California? And I said, you know what, Reverend Fowler, let's just do this. We are going to finish this and then we're going to move on. I don't know where to, how many more, but those are the questions that I'm asked. But I had a couple here from Hamilton, Ontario, a couple of weeks ago, and I said, you came from where? They said, Hamilton, Ontario. We want to build these there. And I said, wonderful. I said, Reverend Fowler, get your boots on, get yourself a Faith Fowler bus. And I kind of like that, Reverend Fowler. Reverend Fowler on the run. Reverend Fowler on the run with tiny homes. So, if anybody's a foundation out there or anything, let's do that. Reverend Fowler on the run with tiny homes. I just asked for one seat. But thank you so much, and I am just so pleased to be here with all of you. And if you have any questions afterwards, I do have a terrible cold, but any questions afterwards, just kind of stand over there, and I will answer the questions for you. But thank you so much. At 10 o'clock, the young lady who's with this program, I said, oh my God, where are the people? She said, oh, you just wait. And I just waited. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
With us, your representative, Debbie Dingle, who's a real ally with ours in Washington, D.C., when we advocate for the needs of folks who are struggling, folks who are making a difference, but really trying hard to hold family together, to care for those around them. And we really rely on her wisdom and her spunk to keep us going. So I'd like to introduce Representative Debbie Dingle.
Good morning, everybody. I'm really here because Sister Simone, well, I don't know who, I love Reverend Faith Fowler too. Somebody said they found souls within each other, and they are two of the greatest women that I know. I can't remember how long ago I met you now. Sister Simone was a very good friend of John Dingle's, and they worked together on so many issues where they, especially health care. You know, every American, sorry gang, I'm going to be political this morning on one thing. Every American's got a right to quality, affordable health. And those two work together. But I have to say, as I'm in Reverend Faith Fowler's territory, I'm glad that you all are able to see these tiny homes, but you just don't know the saint that she is in our midst. And that it's not just Sunday services, but it's understanding you've got to take care of the soul and the person, and making sure that people are able to eat, that they have a job, that they have respect and dignity. And Reverend Faith Fowler has been committed to that from the moment she came to this cast corridor. And I thank her for everything and how you inspire us every single day. You are. Blame the nuns for me. I am a Catholic girl, and I'm going to tell you that I was very lucky that I was raised by nuns who taught me the difference between right and wrong. They did, but they also taught me that it isn't enough to go to Sunday church and, spout Beatitudes. They taught me that if you really want, if you care about people, if you care about community, it's not about words, it's about action. And the nuns in the bus are out there fighting for people, just for everyday working men and women who need somebody to put out a helping hand, to care, to give them just a chance. And so I thank you for traveling the country, and I do wish Sister Simone a happy birthday too. But as I stand here today, I thank the nuns for what they taught me and what they've taught so many. And a lot of us need to remember what the nuns taught us. Thank you very much.
I just want to make sure everybody sees the yellow route over on our bus. See it on the map? That's our route. And we're halfway done. And November 2nd, we end up there with the palm tree that has the dollar sign on it. Down in Mar-a-Lago. And we're on the road for, as I said, to learn about innovative, creative programs all around the country that are caring for community and building our community up. But the other reason we're on the road is to say that it is wrong what this tax law that was passed in December is doing to our nation. And so we want to say that we need reasonable revenue for responsible programs. We need to have revenue to our government so that we, the people, can invest in the critical needs of our times. These kinds of programs that you're doing here at Cass Community Services serve as the experimental base that then can be replicated when we really care about doing good for our people. But it's people of faith that make the risk-taking possible. So I want to just highlight very briefly 5 pieces of that Pope Francis says go into holiness in the 21st century. Because I was talking to Reverend Fowler, and she was saying that she really likes Pope Francis. So I thought I would say it because I think the holiness gets exemplified here at these tiny houses. First of all, Pope Francis says that it's perseverance. Perseverance is a sign of holiness. Now, you all showed up today? That's perseverance. You all show up November 6th? That's perseverance. You all show up November 7th and hold our electeds accountable. That is perseverance. You all pay dues to network. I'll call that perseverance. The second is the sign of holiness is to have joy and a sense of humor. That's why the bus is magnetic. It's attractive. And what we saw here was the joy of the residents pulling together community. You know, if we're all grim and miserable and then we say to our friends, come join us, it's not exactly a good advertisement, right? So joy and a sense of humor. The third is exemplified here is boldness and passion. We are in a time where we cannot afford to hang back, be afraid, cower in the corner and just say, oh, well, I don't know how to talk. Oh, no, use whatever you have and be bold. We need you. The fourth that's exemplified here is to do it in community. We need each other. We can't do this alone. That is what holiness is about. And the fifth is to live in constant prayer. Now, that one had me puzzled. I mean, we on the bus pray in the morning for a half hour, but constantly. And what I've realized is kind of like breathing. To know that we're not alone. To know that there is the divine creator that cares for us at every moment and that we are not left orphaned, ever. So, I want to acknowledge the holiness of this spot, the holiness of this program, and the holiness of this congregation. But I also want to say, not everybody shares my Catholic faith, even though Catholic sisters are troublemakers for just about anybody. Where I know we meet as a diverse nation is the Constitution. And what we have to do is end the unpatriotic lie that we're based in individualism. We have got to stop that. It is unpatriotic and denies the whole basis of the Constitution. And we must claim our Constitution. Claim it as we've never done before. That it starts with we the people forming a more perfect union. And I want to say, this experience is part of a more perfect union. We can create the future together if we work it. And we've got handouts. All my sisters have handouts and pledge cards. But first, let me tell you, there's a centerfold in the magazine. And some people early on told me it was an X-rated centerfold. Because what we're encouraging you to do is to do your homework and compare your candidates' positions on the 7 issues that we fight for on mending the gaps, mending the income and wealth disparity in our nation. But once you've done your homework, share it with your friends, neighbors, folks at church, folks who are not politically connected the way we are. And what I discovered is so many people only know the negative ads on television and don't know how to decide who to vote for. So do your homework. Share it around, carry it in your pocket, whip it out at any moment between now and November 6th, but hold on to it. Because by the time we get to November 7th, then we got to say, hey, you promised X, Y, and Z. We're looking for it now. And you can let your colleagues know, we're keeping an eye, we're expecting, we know we can trust you. So take our magazine, and then I urge you, take one of our pledge cards. If you commit with us to do reasonable fight for, in a nonviolent but thoughtful way, to fight for reasonable revenue for responsible programs, then sign our card. And when you sign the card, turn it into one of the sisters, and then come on over, sign the bus. Now, we still have half the trip to go, and look how crowded that's getting. So please, don't write a lot of other messages. Some of our early folks did. So sign your name, though. So by the time we get to Mar-a-Lago, we're going to do a little informal parade past the mansion for tax justice, probably toot the horn once or twice. And then what we're going to do is come back to the amphitheater at Trump Plaza and have a fiesta for the common good. We're going to have music. Hopefully we'll have some dancing, have some speeches, because after all, it is political. But the most important part for me is that while we're going to bring some food in to share, we're inviting people to bring food in that moment, because in our democracy, what we know is everybody contributes something and everybody eats. So join us on the bus. Join us in our commitment for a just tax policy, not this horror that's sucking the life out of our nation. And let us create that holy community that has joy at its heart. Are you game? Are you ready?